That's what you get for sitting too close to the mic here. It's too high up in the list. I find it really easy to speak to audiences that I don't know, and particularly audiences that don't like me. So I'm going to pretend you don't like me. For those of you who don't, that's really going to be easy. But because when I speak to audiences that I know I'm friendly with, I have a really deep expectation of myself to actually make sense. Whereas if it's the other side, you really don't care. Not a great way to start a speech, but this is a great way to start a speech. I'd like to introduce some people in the audience that may have already been introduced, but we have local councillors here, Fred Patchy and Diane Brennan. Bill McKay was here, and we have Alec McPherson, a regional director. And I've been an MLA now for 9 years, and I have a very best friend in caucus. And there's an old joke in politics that's what's the difference between a caucus and a cactus? Well, a cactus, the pricks are on the outside. So, boy, I'm going downhill here. See what I mean? It's hard when it's a friendly audience. But my best friend in caucus here is Nicholas Simons from Sunshine Coast, who's here with us today. So, oh yeah, okay, my name's Doug Routley, and I happen to be MLA for this area. Not quite this area, I'm just a little bit south of here. I represent everything from Duncan north to about a third into Nanaimo. That includes Chemainus and Crofton and a whole bunch of islands, Gabriola, Thetis, DeCourcy, Penelakut, which is a First Nations band on an island in my constituency. And I have the great honor of serving all of those people, 16 local governments, 6 First Nations, 41,000 voters, about 52,000 citizens of this lovely province, and that's my great privilege. So now that I'm completely off track, but you generally have to be on track before you go off track, so I'm not, but I'm going to get on track because it is a super important issue. It's an important issue globally, regionally, and very locally. We're facing deep choices here in the Nanaimo region. People here are rightly proud of the fact that the local government has been acclaimed and celebrated by its partner institutions for being one of the jurisdictions with the highest diversion rates, and they've achieved great results here in the Nanaimo area with over 70% diversion from landfill, which I think is a fantastic achievement. And it's something that we take very seriously, particularly as an island community. We have very finite resources, as the rest of the globe does, but we have a finite space as well. And we're obviously very conscious of our environment. You can't live in BC and not be an environmentalist. It just isn't possible. It's such a beautiful place, and if you weren't when you came here, you will be once you arrive here. It's something that everyone values, and we see the deep effect that we have as human beings on our environment. It's not just the obvious effects of roads and pavement and garbage and air pollution and all the rest of it, but we're finding now that there's a much deeper effect. Birds, in fact, are evolving shorter wingspans to adapt to darting in and out of human traffic and around human buildings. Rats have bigger brains and they're smarter. So there's something to that, I think. So these are the consequences of our choices. Our choices have deep and long-lasting consequences. And if we decide to put in peril, further peril for future generations by using our atmosphere as a dump and by burying what we don't want, we will condemn the future to a much less thriving and vibrant existence. It's not an easy thing to figure out as well. When we look at what our impact is, just as an example, plastic bags used in grocery stores. We see bans appearing against the use of these bags or the imposition of fees. in order to use disposable plastic bags, and we celebrate that as a good thing. But then the replacement bags that we buy in order to carry our groceries, they have to be used, I believe, 12 times before they are a net gain to the disposable bag. A cotton bag needs to be used something like 130 times before its net effect on the environment is neutral. So what appears to be a good choice can sometimes come with unintended consequences. And I think we need to consider all of that as we move forward. But it's not simply a measurement. It's not something that we can logically decide, well, it's better to use a plastic bag or a reusable plastic bag because of its simple carbon footprint or the energy used to produce it. It's also about the way we behave as a society and how we make choices. We live in a throwaway society, so the choice, the expression of a society to actually regulate the discarding of waste is an important step for us beyond the simple equations that we can make scientifically. There's a deeper, I would argue, a deeper consequence to this, and that's a societal, a social psychological choice. What are we, and what are the choices we make intrinsically? What will be our choices? And in order in a democracy to move anything forward, we need to do more than legislate change. We need to persuade change. We need to persuade people who are unconvinced that what we're presenting is worthy of their investment, not in dollars, but in their deeper choices as people. You know, we often, I used to manufacture bicycles, and I was always amazed by the incredible efficiency of packing. You know, like the parts would come in a carton and they were packed so carefully. The every possible fraction of a penny was saved in the way we manage goods on the way to consumption. And then afterwards, it's just one big bulk mess, and people don't want to pay attention to it. But this is the resource, this is where the resources will come in the future. These are the mines of the future, the discard, and if we aren't able to reuse, we will fail as a society. So we need to apply the same careful consideration that we apply to the consumption side, to the reclamation and discarding side, and we have to be responsible about that. And we, in a democracy, can never take for granted the power that we have with a vote, right? I mean, if we don't have democracy and we aren't able to convince people that they need to make this choice for themselves, if we aren't able to persuade people, then we have nothing. And we can never forget that this is a debate and a struggle of great power. This isn't going to be a simple song circle that will solve these problems. The powers that want to monopolize every resource we have, including waste, and extract from it profit at the expense of public interest are considerable. So it requires fight as well as persuasion. Thank you.